I remember when King's Tide first aired, and we were finally shown the Collector's true potential through his jaw-dropping feat of effortlessly ending the Day of Unity by moving the moon with his mind. As I've discussed before on this channel, the Owl House and Amphibia communities are heavily intertwined, and so of course fans started to find irony in the Collector's big scene when just 2 weeks before the airing of King's Tide, Amphibia aired its series finale, in which the entire climax revolved around the Calamity trio struggling to defeat the Core, who, like Emperor Belos, strive to use the moon to end all life on the planet. There were edits of the Calamity trio trying their hardest to push the moon, as well as Anne's emotional sacrifice to destroy the Core, that would cut away to the Collector casually going before effortlessly dealing with a fairly similar obstacle. It was mostly lighthearted, but some people took it a bit more seriously. Some fans didn't like how the Calamity Trio's struggle and Anne's eventual death trying to stop the moon was constantly being compared to the Collector doing it like it was nothing. Then people started going back and forth on the logistics of it. Amphibia's moon was covered in metal, so wouldn't that make it heavier? Amphibia's moon looks bigger, so on and so forth. Eventually, the conversation evolved into a versus debate on who would win in a fight, Anne or the Collector. So, let's end the debate. Who would actually win in a cosmic brawl between the Child of the Stars and the hero of Amphibia? Well, let's talk about it.
Fall.
Now before we get into each character's feats, I want to specify that this debate will be between Full Power Calamity Anne and the Collector with all of his feats up to Watching and Dreaming. So although I'll be mentioning some feats from before Anne reached full power, we won't be wasting time debating base Calamity Anne's chances against the Collector. But I will be discussing an alternate matchup towards the end, so stick around. With that out of the way, let's get started. Anne possesses enhanced strength, allowing her to casually kick a robot into the atmosphere, exchange blows with King Andrias' giant war mech, effortlessly shred through the armor of the Core's minions, and much more. She also possesses enhanced speed, allowing her to move fast enough to dodge lasers, fly into space in a second, and speed blitz most enemies. As well as impressive speed and strength, she also possesses enhanced durability, allowing her to survive being punched through buildings, as well as in the vacuum of space. Other notable abilities include flight, telekinesis, and blue energy constructs. She also has excellent battle IQ and combat skills thanks to her experience in sword fighting and Muay Thai. Now, as for the Collector, look, I could do like I did with Anne and mention individual feats in different categories, like for example, his strength feat of holding up the archives on his own, but I'm just gonna cut to the chase and read off his abilities. Flight, teleportation, illusion casting, super strength, telekinesis, size manipulation, mind control, minion summoning, matter manipulation, reality warping, and star bending. So, yeah. Let's get to the analysis. Anne has better battle IQ, speed, and durability, so you could maybe argue a speed blitz, but we've seen the Collector move at insane speeds as well. That along with his ability to teleport leads me to believe that blitzing is probably out of the question. And even though Anne might be faster, the Collector canonically travels through space all the time, meaning he has far more experience with mobility in the air. Not that I'm trying to belittle Anne, as she definitely has counters to the Collector as well. His minions definitely wouldn't give her any trouble, and she'd absolutely dog him in a hand-to-hand fight. But everything else? They both have telekinesis, but the Collector's is obviously better. All the Collector has to do is move his finger and he can literally drag her body through a planet. He also broke apart the skull of the Titan with a clap of his hands. If he used that on Anne, this fight would be gruesome. Even though this fight was first proposed when the Collector only had one appearance and the fight would be a little more even, he still had crazy matter manipulation and telekinesis feats back then. This fight is such a blowout that it makes you kinda wonder why it was even discussed in the first place. Well, you probably saw this coming if you've seen Amphibia, but it's all thanks to Anne's White Calamity form. Now, when people started to compare White Calamity Anne and the Collector, I thought, yeah, that makes more sense. They both have insane feats involving the moon, and I could see why someone would argue blowing the moon to bits is more impressive than just moving it. But since it killed her, there's a downside. Now, while some people still have the Collector winning this matchup due to the amount of feats that he's shown toward the end of the series, others believe that not only can Anne win in this state, but that the state itself gives Anne an instant win condition. And it's all because of the wish. Basically, the wish is said to grant the wielder of the gems enough power to defeat quote-unquote any foe.
Oh, but summoning such power
comes at a price.
the life of the user.
So that's it, right? Anne uses the wish and it's an instant win. She might die afterwards, but at that point the fight's over, right? Even though that seems to be what some believe, I disagree. I think the Collector still wins. First off, I want to address the theory that people have that the wish can take on any form to defeat any foe, and that it only took the form of a beam of light because it was the most efficient way to destroy the core. I won't be taking this point into consideration for the analysis of this fight, as, to put it frankly, it's just speculation. You can't scale a power based on its potential versatility, especially when said versatility was never displayed. From what we've been shown, this is the extent of the wish's power. So, how does this power hold up against other powerful foes? Honestly, not very well. Instead of focusing on the fact that the Collector has shown more impressive feats than Anne's wish feat, such as reality warping and star bending, let's instead focus on the last foe the wish was used on, the core. While it calls itself a god and is treated as a big bad, it's really nothing more than a giant robot that attached itself to the moon. Now, let's look back at the nature of the gems. I've already touched on how they work, and it honestly makes sense. A mortal not being able to survive the full extent of the gem's power makes sense to me. But the question I've been wondering for 2 years now is, why did the gems break? Why did quote-unquote unlimited power run out? You could argue that the power output is tied to the life of the user, or that the form runs out once the foe the wish is used on is defeated, and that would make sense had the form just worn off when Anne killed the core, but that's not what happened. The gems broke. That doesn't sound like unlimited power to me. And if the core, a creature made by mortals, was strong enough to push the gems to its limits, how do you think Anne would handle a reality warping god that can throw and manipulate multiple moons and stars? Maybe it's just me, but I don't think that's gonna go well for her. So, with all that being said, the Collector wins. Do you agree with my analysis? If not, let me know why down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and be on the lookout for more versus debates in the future. And until next time, I guess I'll see you when I see you.
Say, you wanna play tag? I'm it.